Good evening, guys. Welcome to another episode of Strat Chat. We got Egracegamer here coming out of the Shadowlands, and he's one of those quad GL people. He's got one of those pretty good account. He streams live on Twitch, and he's always got some pretty interesting matchups because up in those upper echelons, you get some pretty interesting rosters. So, welcome everybody. Egracegamer here.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, I stream around 10 p.m. usually for GAC. I plan on branching out into some more stuff at some point. Probably Lightside TV because that's the only PvE thing that's really relevant for the time being with the raid coming out. But yeah.
Yeah, something tells me when that the new Rancor drops, there's going to be a fair amount of streaming of that going on, just like what works, what doesn't, kind of thing. I'm a little bit worried on how difficult it might be because I'm sitting there going like, is this going to be one of those things where it's like, before my time, but when the Sith Rave dropped and like most guilds couldn't complete it, and that's really frustrating. So hopefully it's not like blow your brains out tough. And the other thing that I'm kind of curious about is, do you think that these two Galactic Legends are going to be the new ones are going to be specifically built to do good things in this raid, or was it one where Kylo's going to dominate again, or do you think it's going to be where Galactic Legends are actively like not good in the raid, and it's down to shit like the Chex Mix, like building weird teams that do something great in this area of the raid? Like, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think that we've seen a lot of things come with the heroic Sith raid, like mechanics that kind of ruin the old strategies, and I expect nothing less on this next one coming out. They just like when they made Lightside Geo TB, they didn't want people to complete this thing fast. Even the Dark Side one, when it first came out, I think it was right before Relics, right? Or right after Relics?
No, before. It was
right before Relics, just Gear 13, right?
No, I think Gear 13 dropped after the first Dark Side. I remember.
Yeah.
I remember at the time Dark Side Geo dropped. We did we did Dark Side Hoth once for the first one to see how difficult it was. Because sorry, that's not true. We actually did Dark Side right off the bat to give it a shot. I had like mostly G11s at the time. Like I was 1.2 million when Darkside Geo dropped or something like that. I had I had solid light side stuff. Like I had a solid CLS, I had a solid JKR, had nothing Darkside. So I remember I had my first ever G13 was DACA specifically for Darkside Geo. That was the second Darkside Geo. My Night Sisters were G11, G12.
And a very, very good choice.
Yeah. It was specifically.
That was one of my first too.
Yeah. Like that was one where I was like, I gotta like, it was, I had the smallest roster in my guild or whatever. I'm like, maybe I should probably try to do pretty well in this.
Yeah. I think they're just gonna they don't want the top end of the game to be able to steamroll this thing, but they also want it to be feasible for, I'll say, like the mid 2 million range, 200 million range. I would think that they'd want it to be feasible in that range, and they also don't want the 380 million, maybe plus that now, like Call Patrol to come in and steamroll it, and have it like on an easy farm. They want them to at least. They want the players to at least be competitive. Maybe they don't care if they can beat it, but they want players to engage on it. They want players to run multiple teams. They don't want everybody to run one team and then have them have cleared the raid.
Yeah.
I expect it to tax the 200 mil range, like the mid 200 mil range, very, very much, and take a lot of coordination and a huge team effort. And, up where I'm at in the 320, I think that, will we be able to beat it? Probably. But we're still going to have to be careful what we do, and we're going to be competing against each other for rewards. So, we're going to have to make multiple runs and whatnot, and use our roster wisely rather than using one team to down the whole thing. Yeah. I mean, because the first solo for the Heroic Sith raid, I want to say it's like SLKR came out 2 years after the Sith raid. That's not bad. The Sith raid had a good run. I mean, it was on farm
Yeah.
way before SLKR, of course, but
Yeah.
you had to run like at least 3 to 4 teams to get through that thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So
it was an
yeah.
interesting one. Like I think the one that I saw that did really well is there's like a JTR team that smashes P1 and that'll get you about 70 million there, and then in P2 it was just like I don't know, everything works, you know. And then P3 was what Darth Revan was great in P3. Of Night
I think
Sisters.
JTR was the most recent legendary when that was released,
Yeah.
and she could barely get you 3 million
Yeah, yeah.
at one point.
But it was with the G13s that everything kind of went out of whack on Sith Raid. Because I remember it's like with G13, with Night Sisters, all of a sudden we're doing full-on solos of P3 and like half of P4. They were pretty nasty. It's like this.
So it just hit me. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Cool.
You know, if you take into account that Heroic Sith Raid was designed for Gear 12, right?
Yeah.
If you were to ramp up the difference between Gear 12 to Relic 7, and then kind of apply those same mechanics from Heroic Sith Raid to the Rancor, I don't think that, you know, SLKR could solo that. He's going to get hit too hard when it goes into Enrage, and you're not going to be able to manage the turn meter. And every time you hit him, you know, if he gets the Heroic Sith Raid mechanics, every time you hit him, he gets more tenacity.
Yeah.
And he gets ramped up speed. And so, you know, I think it's not much of a stretch to say that if they take the percentage difference in strength from Gear 12 to Gear 13 and just multiply that, or I guess it was like what, Gear 10 we were running Rancor, but if you take that difference and multiply it and then put in those Heroic Sith Raid mechanics of ramping speed and tenacity, I don't think any of the GLs will be able to hang with controlling that.
Well, the kind of the thing that I put forward with GOM that makes sense to me is the easiest way for them to control Galactic Legends in this new raid is going to be cap your mastery. You can't get mastery past X. Doesn't matter what you do. That would just cut the hamstring right off of Kylo there, because I mean, let's be honest, like he was built for that. Like he was just built like the Sith. I don't think they had any idea what they were doing when they made him in terms of the Sith raid, because I don't even think that was a consideration to them, right? Like, you know, it's really funny because you know there's like a myth that they don't test this game. I think they do. I just don't think that they They just don't test it versus, you know, certain things. Like you can see with how things screw up, they'll like test it against the meta teams, and they'll test it against them, you know, other teams around it, and see how well it does. And it's like, oh yeah, this controls it, it's no problem. And for them, that's done and done. But I bet you money, you know, a 2-year-old raid that was already getting crushed. You know, you have people pulling 100 million runs out of it and stuff like that. You know, it's. I bet you money they didn't think about it at all. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, he can solo that? Oh, okay. Okay, well, I mean, I see why it works, but okay. That's one of those things where you know, like they talk about us, you know, theory crafting and figuring things out, and then they have to like factor in that, you know, we might figure out something to do with a character that they didn't think of. I guarantee you that's what they were. That's one of those ones where they didn't think of it, because it would be really easy for them to make Kylo just as effective, but capping his mastery at say 100% or 200% or something like that, and he wouldn't be able to solo it. But they never did that. So
Now, how about this too? You know, some of these abilities that these characters have in that raid, removing mastery. You know, so then you take a non-GL team in there, and even if they're a non-GL team that's really good, at some point they're going to run out of steam because they're not going to be hitting. They're going to be hitting at Gear 13 flat.
yeah.
You know, but you know, like that Gamorrean guard, you know, like that kill order that gives death mark. Maybe it gives a death mark that also removes mastery.
Yeah.
And then your strategy becomes, well, how do I protect my galactic legend?
Well, here's another thing. Just playing off that just idea. What happens if Gamorrean Guard and stuff? Like, what if they siphon mastery?
Oh yeah.
That could be.
Oh yeah.
That could be interesting.
So then you have to out ramp them up.
Yeah, yeah. So even then, so I was just thinking about it, I'm like, if they don't want to cap mastery, if they don't want to do it that way, because people be like, oh, that was lame, that's the easy fix, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
If they've got those characters siphoning off your mastery, oh, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they won't even have to give them enrage, because there's going to be a point where you're just going to not be able to do anything. And,
yeah.
Yeah, and like
where a Gamo Guard one-shots you.
Yeah, legit, right?
Rage.
Yeah, like that's pretty crazy. Like, it'll be a race to see if you can do enough damage before your team gets completely annihilated without enrage mechanic, just because their mastery just gets out of control.
Well, when they touch up some of these characters, like when they rework Vader and whatnot, and some of these other characters, they change the language in such a way and add one little minor detail that just totally transforms something. And, I could easily see that with the new raid. It's like Mighty Thrust by Gamorrean Guard says deal physical damage to target enemy plus bonus damage equal to 20% of their health. That's a solid mechanic, right?
Yeah.
But what if it also gives days now? Or what if it also, like, a unresistible, unblockable days? Yeah. So now you have to worry about managing debuffs and things that we didn't have to worry about last time.
Yeah, yeah. And it's an interesting one. Like, I don't know. I don't think they're going to come out with anything really groundbreaking, but I definitely think there's going to be some mastery manipulation in that new raid. I think that's going to be a thing. Yeah. I mean,
for sure. I'm looking forward to shooting the door down again. I don't think it's been a few years since I've done that.
Recently, actually, I did that. Because when with the Hyperdrive bundle, it gave you back all those quests.
Yeah.
To like blow up the door and do all that stuff. So my guild, we ran it old school, a bunch of times, so everybody could get those quests off that Hyperdrive, and that was an interesting one because I was just like I was having fun with it. I just set in like I would just do CLS solo. Because we're supposed to like let it sit for a certain amount of time before we post, and I'm like, all right, well, I'll just solo it with CLS. And so I at the time like I had that Relic 4 CLS, and I'm like, G12 CLS can do this. So I was like crushing the waves, but it was really funny. Like one hit pops the door, and then you get like the two big hits there, and it's doing like I don't know together like 100 and something thousand. It's doing big chunks of damage off the Rancor. You're just like, oh baby, this is ridiculous.
So an interesting fact, because I pulled this up when we were talking. The original Rancor raid was designed for obviously 7-star characters, level 80 at the time, but gear 9. Oh. So like you're talking, like you just mentioned, going in there with a Relic 4 CLS. Like what does a Relic 4 CLS do against any Gear 9 character that isn't a Galactic Legend with the GL Zeta?
Yeah, just eviscerates it.
Yeah, I mean it's like one shot. But if it's a tank, it survives in red, maybe.
Yeah. Well, but it was pretty fun. I remember what I did was I set in 4 level 1 G1s or something to get the multiple attempt thing. So I needed to get like 5 or something. So I was like, okay, so let's send in some level 1s. And so like by the time like P1 went down, and then my last one I sent in CLS again. I just was like, all right, let's have some fun with this. Yeah, but that was the last time I ran Rancor. And it's interesting, I like that they're finally moving that goddamn tank raid to Sim.
Yes.
I mean, the rewards in that raid are complete garbage. It's a complete waste of time. It's like 20 minutes out the door to do your solo or whatever with Kylo.
Something they really need to address in this game is the rewards for the Sith raid. The only putting Gear 12 Plus down to the first 10 people
is bullshit. It's always been
where
bullshit.
We're at in the game. Is ridiculous. When Gear 12 Plus was the maximum distance that you could go in this game,
Yeah.
I think it was fair. You know, it's no longer the maximum distance you can go; it's a gear crunch.
Oh,
And so you're cutting off 20% of the community, or you're cutting off not 20%, you're cutting off 80% of the community every time they do a raid.
Yeah.
From getting Gear 12 Plus. So, I mean,
Well,
they have to rely strictly on either buying it or using currency, which is awful.
well, here's
and
the
slow.
yeah, but here's the biggest bullshit of that. You're cutting off 80% of your own guild. You know, like your own guild. You want your guild to do better. You want them to all to be improving, so that you can actually go and do better in territory wars and territory battles. You know, padding out accounts and stuff like that. Like my guild has our way of dealing with it. Once we had enough Kylos that it was just like, okay, we have more Kylos than we have, you know, top 10 spots. What we did first is we did a damage cap. So we moved from it. So everybody could only do so much damage. If you want to blow it up and like solo it or whatever, that's fine. But if you blow it up, you go past, you know, I think it was 35 million. Go past 35 million, then you sit out the next one. And that's sort of how we did it. And it works really, really well. Like people, you know, every now and then we get like 3 to 5 people blow it up at the same time. But usually like two people blew it up. And you had, you know, the people that were really wanting to stay in the top 10 all the time, just kind of staying around like 25, 28 million and then seeing where it came out. And then when we had more Kylos, it became flat out, okay, top 10 sits. Seriously, top 10 sits the next one out. So then it became like, you know, our 2 groups of Kylos are split up and they both solo the raid. You know, on alternating raids, and that's just what we kind of had to do. Because it's one of those. It's like you want to be fair to everybody who has the character, but you also want the rest of your guild to get the character. So you know, like, it's a weird situation to be in, and yeah. So I really hope that changes. I mean, that as soon as G13 became a thing, they needed to extend the possibility of G12 plus pieces, I think, to at least top 30, at least. And if you do damage, you should be able to get it.
To be frank, I think anybody that hits it should get it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not saying you got to go and give them a chance at a full piece. You know, maybe the bottom, you know, third or bottom 2/3 even they can't get a full piece, but they can get salvage. You know,
like actual amount of salvage. Yeah, I mean, because they give you like 2 pieces. It's like, what?
Yeah,
like, come on, what am I gonna do with that?
Three's not gonna do it anymore.
Yeah. So what
you know, I don't think that their motivation level probably isn't too high, because that's probably mod farming and the shipments is probably where a lot of the crystals in this game go.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't see that their motivation is overly high, and obviously it hasn't stopped a lot of players from going to the top. I mean, I stay pretty relevant with my gear. You know, I used to be a whale, Kraken very briefly. Now I don't really spend it all, but I'm still able to kind of keep up, and I probably only go top 10. I don't know, like 30% of the time. In fact, I don't even attack it unless I'm in the top 15, because I know at least, you know, 10 or 11 of the people in the top 15 are going to have Kylo. If I'm in that top 10, you know, I'm going to go in and solo it, because I know for sure I'm going to get in the top 10. But yeah, they got to do something about it. And you don't even have to give more to the top people.
No, you know, those can stay the same.
Just eliminate their ability to get a full piece, so that there's still the desire to hit this thing, because they're not ready to sim it yet.
So what I was thinking might be a good solution for that is if you extend it from, like, say top 20 can get a full right side piece, but then you say top 50, everybody who signs up has a chance at a full left side piece, right? Because the left side piece are only 2,000 crystals, and you know, they take some good stuff, but it gives you that chance, right? Like, because one of the things I noticed, some of the people I know that are
it cuts your farming in half.
Yeah,
You know,
and
either side you go.
Yeah. But it's one of those, we all know that those right side pieces are the ultra desirable. They charge you 5,600 crystals, I think it is, 5,200, something like that.
Yeah,
for
a full $30 if you're counting it by bolt.
Yeah, like that's pretty crazy. You know, it's one of those. It's like I don't. It's like I don't buy those pieces. I'll buy the odd left side piece, but I do not buy the right side pieces. Those get like, I'm super meticulous about keeping those.
Yeah.
You know, and I keep stacking them up, and I'm just like, okay, like, who's gonna get these? And I'm looking at all these plus signs. I'm like, I kind of don't want to give any out. Like, you know, so I'm sitting here with like a bunch of G12 flat. Like, if I give a character a G12, he's almost always just flat G12 unless I needed something in his stats.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's like, okay. But you know, it's
for sure.
It's
the only person I have at Gear 12 with a lot of pieces on him that isn't actively being geared is Mace. I could not bear to put the finisher on him because I'm like, you know what? These dudes have been known to fall short every now and then. So I'm not going to put that finisher on there. I was already sick to the stomach for putting because they hinted they were going to do it.
Yeah, and well, they strongly hinted.
I think, oh yeah. I mean, I had it green with a plus sign sitting there for about 2 months, and then that's when they announced they weren't doing it, and I instantly put that on another character.
Yeah. Well, see, yeah, that was a bit of a disappointment. They basically told us all about, you know, that they were going to do all these Galactic Republic Jedi reworks and stuff, and they were going to come in and clean things up, and everybody was screaming Mace and, you know, like Kit and Isla Sakura and all this stuff, and we were all going to get you know, super excited about this, and then
I like her, especially with Jedi Master Luke. I'm almost afraid if they rework her. Ayla,
yeah, with her stun on basic.
Yeah, you just call her to assist and then stun the whole team.
Yeah, that is pretty sick, actually. That's not something I really thought about. That the mechanic would be, the stun mechanic would apply to that buff, the call assist.
Yeah,
that's pretty nuts. I mean, there's a lot of whining on the awfuls about these new Galactic Legends. You know, like where they're lacking in kits and stuff. And the one that keeps coming up, and I keep thinking it's not as bad as everybody's saying, but it also does need a little bit of help, is Jedi Master Luke's lead. Like, I'm just in this weird spot where I look at it and I go, like, I think he's a fantastic character. I think his mechanics are great, except the lead. The lead, it's like the third best Jedi lead. I'm like, how did that happen?
And, you know, the other thing that kind of hurts is that, you know, Rey and Kylo, they can go anywhere on a team, and they can achieve their ultimate at the same speed.
Yeah.
If you take Jedi Master Luke out of the leader spot, you completely neuter him.
Yeah, you cannot get the ult flat out.
And if you keep him in the lead, you get steamrolled by Darth Revan's with Watt. And so there's in 5v5, there's very little reason to keep that unit for defense. And like, you know, I don't know. To me, Galactic Legends are supposed to be the pinnacle of defense. Now, that doesn't mean that you know, a person with less Galactic Legends shouldn't have a feasible, reasonable counter to that doesn't include all their legendaries. You know, I'm not saying anything like that. In fact, I do think that it's fair that Darth Revan can beat Jedi Master Luke, but you know, it should be beefed up enough that it's not feasible to like those videos out there where there's 3-manning it.
Yeah,
like, come on. You know, I think that's a little crazy. I agree. I do think that the reason why they went that route though was because they went a little too far with Rey and Kylo in terms of how easy they were to beat. And they know it. And so they made these Galactic Legends strong enough that they can steamroll those two, on the right teams, right?
Yeah, and the right setups. Yeah.
But they're not strong enough that they're invincible versus the rest of the roster.
Yeah.
And so I'm actually, overall, I would say I'm happy with their strength. Because the other two, they just become invincible under the right circumstances. Obviously, yes, they can be beaten, but comparatively speaking, they're brick crap houses compared to the other two.
Yeah, it's
like in 3v3, you can beat C and you can beat JML in 3v3.
Yeah.
If you go up, like the poor guy who doesn't have a Galactic Legend yet goes up against somebody with Ray, he may as well
just
not attempt.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say that. Like, he's going to chase banners for the next guy he plays and has a shot at beating. But, I mean, and then if the other guy has SLKR even, yeah, you can get through it, but it's realistically going to take you 2, maybe 3 attempts.
Yeah.
If you need to do a burner in between.
Yeah, I basically, I usually look at people with Galactic Legends when I'm going up against them, because I've only got the one, so I'm getting matched up against a lot of people with one other one as well, so like one Galactic Legend. And I always kind of look at them, and I look at their GIC history, and I set mine because I know they're going to set theirs, and then I've got an option. Like with Ray, there's nothing I can do. I can't get through it without using Kylo.
Yeah.
I just flat out don't have an option. And then it's... With Kylo, though, you can do a couple of teams that can possibly get through him. Probably. Maybe if you play it right. If you get a little RNG and you play it right, yeah, you can like two-man that. You can two-team that, I mean. Like go in there and take it out. And so it becomes this weird situation. So like when I go up against guys with Ray in 3v3, I'm always looking at it going like, well, where do I get them to drop battles? Because I'm going to get 47 banners. My Kylo's going to beat his Ray, and he's going to be the only man standing. So how do I get him to drop a battle somewhere? And that becomes like kind of my quest. And I'm like, okay, so if I take Kylo on offense, this is where I make up the banners. Or I do that thing because I remember the first time I got matched up against a Galactic Legend, and I got really upset because I was like, I don't have a chance. He's going to set it, and he can clear me. So what the fuck do I do? It's like one of those things. And then so I lost to that guy because I just couldn't. I just was hoping that he attacked with it out of nowhere. And then I remember the second time I got matched up against one, I was like, you know what? Fuck this guy. He doesn't have supporting cast here. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna place a stupid hard defense on that top. And then if he can get through it, good, great, he wins. If he can't,
congratulations,
I win. And so I kept just enough to clear around his Kylo, and I remember that worked so well that I was just like, "Oh baby, here we go. We got a method."
Like, part of that goes into the psychology of it. The person with the better amount of resources, they tend to try to bully you by putting up something they don't think you have the gas to get through.
Yeah, and
then. I won't say all of them who do that. They tend to hide roses behind it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just pillow defense in the back, or feather, depending on how you like to call it. But me knowing that, I can use that. I can somewhat commiserate. I had 3 when a lot of my opponents had 4 this past season. I didn't. You mentioned I have quad GLs. Yes, that's true, but the 4th one wasn't up and running
until 4, I think.
The final lock. Yeah, until the final lock-in. When the final lock-in happened, I had a non-usable Sith Eternal Emperor. He had all his feats, but he was like gear 8 or 9.
Yeah.
So I didn't even try to use him on offense.
see, the funny thing is I still would have tried this. I still would have set him on defense just because the guy'd be like, "What do I use against this?" Yeah, like I gotta blow a good team on this G9C. Come on, like it would have been one of those where the guy would have been like, "That's not." He would have been really upset. I bet you would have got messages if you had set him like front and center on defense. They'd have been like, "Come on, man." like I had to I had to spend my General Skywalker. So I had to spend my some crazy thing to go in there. I sent in JKR with General Skywalker to get the mark on him and kill him. What? I had to waste it on him. What are you doing?
Yeah.
They would have been so upset at what they had to spend to get through him. That would be the funniest part.
And I think that's generally the best strategy, to try to figure out what your opponent likes to do and use it against him. That one guy I ran up against, I knew he was going to try to bully me because we were pretty even on mods, and he had all 4 GLs. And I looked at what he said on defense, and he tended to set some of the other big names on defense, like Gas and a couple other things. So the only guy that I pulled the brakes off of and kept everything in its brother for offense, except for like little confuse you teams for that front row. He beat me and steamrolled me on against my defense, but I looked at his ships, and he liked to put Malevolence and Holdo on defense. And so I knew that if I can beat Holdo with Rebels easily for 65 plus banners, usually like 68, and I can beat Malevolence with Holdo. Yeah. And so I knew that if I put both of those there, that sure, he'd beat my fleets, but how many drops was it going to take? And so he beat everything but one fleet in one attempt, and the last fleet that he attacked took 4 attempts. And so he had that stolen, and I beat all 4 of his GLs, and I beat him by I think like 35 banners.
Yeah, I think I was there for that one. That was the one where you soloed. You did the solo on C, I think, in the back. Remember, you were gonna use Slacker on the front, and I was like, what if you put C in the back?
Yeah, and that was the match indeed.
Yeah, that was and you were like, I mean,
but he beat me. He beat me in the rematch.
Yeah,
because he learned some things like putting Basti, JML makes a tougher team. And then he put Malik with C, and I think Malik with C is what ended up beating me in the rematch. So I'm looking forward to facing him again.
Yeah, I remember.
That was smooth because I knew he was going to change some things, but putting Malik with C completely caught me off guard.
yeah. Well, because if I remember right, he liked using Malik on offense. It was something that he was. Yeah. So
it was one of his solo.
Yeah, so he'd always try to solo a team with Malik on offense. Like he was using it to solo. I think you said clones. If you found clones back there, he was soloing something else that was good. I want to say he was going after CLS as well if it was on defense. Stuff like that. And
I was proud though. I did have one proud takeaway. So I did that to him with fleets again, and but this time he kept his Malevolence and Negotiator. So what I did was with my Negotiator, I put the comp in that the safest way to fight these, when if they leave both and you have both for offense, the safest way to fight these things is to send Malevolence against Negotiator and Negotiator versus Malevolence, right?
Yeah, 100%.
But I was like, he's very banner focused when he attacks. Like he's very banner focused. So I was like, I'll bet I could get him to use mirror matches.
Yeah. And
I did, and he dropped both fleets. he cleared them, but he dropped both fleets. So that was my pat myself on the back. I think fleets moving forward is a way that you can get ahead in this game. And I've told you all about it offline.
Yeah.
If you can beat both those meta teams with soft counters, I mean, you can dictate ships.
Oh, completely. And ships are the most often ignored. I find I'll go up against a lot of guys that have, say, both the cap ships like I do, except their supporting ships aren't great, or they're missing really key stuff, like they have like a 4-star hyena, and you're like, what? Like, what are you gonna do with that?
Yeah.
It's a strange one. And then you get the people who just don't care about fleets, and they'll just like not have one of them or something, or like maybe it's half developed or something. They just don't bother.
Yep.
And it's an interesting one because I understand how little people care for fleets in general, but for me, just I think you're the same as me. Like I originally thought I would never get to the top of the arena, so I was
Mm-hmm.
always focused on getting my fleets to one.
Yep.
That was my thing, and then I don't know what happened. It was just like I started getting one in the arena
So,
too, and then it was just like, well, this is really great, you know, like
yeah. I'm one of those people that was always waiting for more content for ships
yeah,
early on from the get go. Before they even put crystals in the arena, I wanted to get top of my fleet because I wanted to use all of that currency to buy characters and buy zetas.
yeah,
Uh, and so I was way ahead of fleets early. I mean, a lot of people where I'm at now, they've all caught up with me by now.
yeah,
But early on, I was way ahead. It's like when they released Negotiator. I didn't have to farm Clone Sergeant's ship. I didn't have to farm Rex's ship.
yeah.
They were ready to go. I just needed to gear the clones, which they were. I mean, they were geared before Negotiator came out, and so uh, it pays off to have very deep fleets, and it hasn't paid off a lot until they expanded ships.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad they did. I'm so glad they did. That doubling the ships made ships relevant, and people will continue to hate it for a while. But I'll give you some links to the videos I made, and you can put them in your Discord or connect them to the video if you'd like, to just give people an idea what you can do against opponents. I, I, what was there? 12 matches last season. I'd say 3 of them I won alone off my ships. Like my ships saved the day. Being able to put Negotiator and Malevolence on D.
Yeah.
The very last guy I fought, he beat everything in one shot, and he was on pace to get like 265, 270 banners.
Mm.
Or not, what was it, 26?
2660, 2670, yeah.
Yeah, he was like 2665 or 2670 was his pace. He got to my ships and he dropped both.
Yeah.
He had to two-shot both my ships. He lost because of ships. I won because of ships.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to Shadow too, the guy we were just talking about.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's those little things you can do where if you're having trouble keeping up with your opponents on banners, but you have solid ships, beef up them rebels so that they can beat a negotiator. That way you don't have to worry about keeping your malevolence to beat one.
Yeah, that's
Beef up the Holdo ship. That should be easy for a lot of people now. Especially when you get her to 7 stars, she can steamroll malevolence, and there's only a few malevolence comps that can really give it trouble, but it's still beatable.
Yeah.
So, I just feel like that's a way that the maybe newer player or less developed player can keep up with a more developed player.
Yeah.
Because they may not be all up in their ships, and if you are, that's your advantage.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that because I'm a kind of a newer account, and I've really made sure to have fleets. So like when they dropped this double fleet thing, I didn't give a shit. I had 4 fleets. It's like, okay. I was at like 4.4 million or something when they dropped it. I'm like, I'm good. I got 4 fleets, and like I'm going at like I think it was my first season of Division 1. I went in there and I had like 4.6 million or something. I'm going up against a guy with 6 million, and he's only got like a 5-star negotiator with G12 clones or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, like you're so
Thank
screwed. It was one of those that I'm just sitting there. I'm like, what is he even gonna set for his fleets? Like he doesn't have anything. And he took his negotiator on offense, like I thought, and he took his Falcon on offense, was his second best fleet, and then he left like literally scraps. Like it was just like there was like mace with stuff, and there was there was a Thrawn with some Empire ships or whatever, and I was like, okay, cool. I just went in and just bashed it. But like I set my negotiator, I didn't have to set malevolence as well, and my negotiator held 3 times or something like that. He didn't try my finalizer. I was like, okay,
The other fun thing you can do when you have the soft counters mastered is we just did a territory war recently where some of the guys were having trouble, like with mirror matches and whatnot. So my guild asked me, they said, keep all your fleets because we know you can beat it, right?
Yeah.
And so I did, and I blew their minds away because I ended up killing 5 fleets, and they were all Malin negotiator.
Yeah. Like, see, that's kind of like that's one of those ones. That's like fleet goals. You know what I mean? Like it's one to get there. So for a newer player like me, getting Holdo is almost impossible because it's all these old ships that are not very good, honestly, that you take, like, or they don't have a home. Like, I finally got Ebonhawk up, and I love that ship, but I still don't use it, even though I farmed it, because what do I use it with? Like, it's one of those.
Yep.
And in my
head, that is the anchor of the Holdo team.
Yeah. And it's a strange one. So like I'm getting there slowly. Like, I'm starting to work on the resistant ships now, and because I see and I see these 7-star Holdos beating Malevolence. I'm like, oh, I need that. But I know I'm like a year away. That's the craziest part. Like, I'm like, oh
yeah, because like realistically, are you going to drop crystals on the ship? I did because I was afraid that at the time.
Yeah.
The original GLs, I was afraid they were going to try to do something crazy.
Yeah, with the 7 stars.
This was when Holdo was released. That was during the very end of my Kraken era.
Yeah.
So I didn't go all in on Finalizer, but I went all in on Holdo. And when I say I went all in, I didn't drop all the money on the marquee packs. Every time the thing came up, I would do like I would do the free one, and I would do like 2 refreshes.
Yeah. That's not too bad.
So that's how I got there.
Yeah, that's something I would actually consider if and when I get to the point where I've got, like, I don't know, that fleet kind of dialed in, and I'll be like, all right, I just need the stars now. Like, let's consider doing that.
And something to consider as you guys, anybody who's watches this video and they're like, I'm going to get my Holdo fleet going. Getting your Holdo solid. Even if she's only 6 stars, that can still steal banners from Malevolences attacking it. So if you post Rebels and Holdo on defense and you still have to keep those other 2, and you have a good Y-wing, they would be crazy to
try to negotiate that, because the Rebels can. If you've got a good Biston and good Y-wing, you could probably rip a Malevolence that's attacking you pretty good for banners.
Yeah.
So
Malevolence attacking Rebels, they're going to steamroll your Rebels, but they're going to lose banners because the Rebels are going to lay out some heat before they die.
Oh yeah, they're going to take out some ships. Like, from that opening salvo alone, I mean, your Sunfac's probably toast. Like, it's one of those. If they've got the Biston and the Y-wing and stuff, they're going to be able to get the protection off real quick and just get at it. So you're coming out of there with like 59 banners, which is terrible. But at the same time, you negotiator it. That Rebel fleet can kill a negotiator that's attacking it, if RNG goes right. And that's pretty fucking devastating too. It's a weird one.
And so, they're going to throw their...
Sorry, just losing you a bit. Yeah, I've lost you, man. Lost you. Are you there? Egrace. Uh-oh, yeah, we flat out full lost him, I think. It's gonna take him a second. Let me try, let me see here. Give him a quick message and be like, oop, yeah, we lost him. Hold on a sec. Gonna try to get him back here. Let's see.
You got me back?
Yep. Let me get the camera back in place.
All right. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries.
But yeah, I'll get off my fleet soapbox.
Yeah, no, it's right. I mean, like where we cut off before we lost you, I was saying that you know, that a Falcon team that's like, you know, really well developed can drop a negotiator that's attacking it if RNG goes right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like either way, they're looking at losing banners if they're trying to attack that team. And like you're saying, Holdo can steal some solid banners against Malevolence, and yeah, it's a weird. There's like no win there because you're looking at two low 60, high 50 banner wins there. So
Yep.
I mean, I mean that's kind of JC.
And then when you're done with them, and then they have to go against your negotiator and Malevolence, like you know, they're gonna say a couple. You know, they're gonna have some choice words when they see that when you open that up the back row.
Oh yeah, yeah. So that's something that I do often. Like I go between setting really soft ships to really hard ships depending, and it's usually down to how they attack. Not so much even what ships they have, but if they're like bringing their A fleets on offense, I'm probably gonna leave them something. You know, like it's one of those. It just doesn't, because I have that kind of like defensive mentality for GAC. So I almost feel like bad if I set too light of fleets. I'm just like, oh come on. And then, but you know, like every now and then they'll surprise you. So I had one where a guy actually couldn't clear my finalizer, and he took his A fleets, you know, but he sometimes set good stuff on defense in the fleets. Like he'll sometimes set his negotiator and stuff. So I think I set. I didn't know what he was going to set just because he switched up his fleets enough that I took negotiator and Malevolence on offense. And I left Falcon and Finalizer, and I was like, he's going to get like 65 banners on each of those. That's going to suck, you know, if he takes good fleets on it. Somehow, he managed to lose. Like, he set one of his premium ships, so he took his Negotiator and Falcon on offense. Somehow, he managed to drop 2 fleets on my Finalizer, and my Finalizer stood. And I was like, what? like your Falcon should have beat that.
Yeah.
It was like, what happened? What, you know, like, show me on the doll where Kylo shot you, you know? Yeah, but it's funny. I mean, but that's kind of JAC in a nutshell. Is this really just breaking down like where can you win? Because when I had a lighter account when I was coming up in the ranks, I guess coming up in the divisions, I was very attack heavy. It was all about full clears. It was all about good banners. It was all about like, you know, recovery. And I was thinking about that kind of stuff. Like, ooh, we could, you know. And I used to win things by like 2 banners. You know, like I had a couple of losses where I lost by 1. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I hated that. I hated that so much. And then with this more like defensive kind of approach that I've been doing since Division 2, really, or Division 3 is when I kind of started doing it.
Yep.
You know, paying really close attention to my opponent, figuring out what they want to do, and then trying to make it difficult for them to do what they want to do, what they're comfortable doing. Man, I don't think I've had any close ones. You know what I mean? Like I either got the teams wrong on offense and couldn't clear, and they cleared or didn't clear or something like that, or they got completely stuck and I won by like several hundred. You know, it's rare when it was like, oh yeah, we're within 10, you know, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like I like that breathing room.
Well, you know, my favorite early on, my strategy was how can I stop this person dead in their tracks?
Yeah.
And the hard part was I'd get to the end of the season, I'd only have, you know, maybe I'd have 2 losses, but I'd find myself, you know, still short of Kyber.
Yeah.
And it was really hurting. And so, you know, my mentality has kind of changed to what is the hardest thing I can set and reasonably expect to clear him still.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and so, you know, the 2 angles I go with that is, can I stop him?
Yeah.
And if I'm saying, okay, well, you know, based on what he usually sets on defense, you know, I'm going to have to keep a little extra in the tank. It now becomes, I need to go way back and look at everything that this person has ever had trouble with.
Yeah, yeah.
And I need to post all them dudes up front and then the harder stuff in back.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's kind of helped me out a lot. You know, it's like this past 3v3 season, I lost the first one by, I think, 2 banners.
Yeah.
And then I forget what happened in the second one. So I got to the end and I had lost 3, and I was able to, drop a 4th because it didn't matter.
Yeah, yeah.
All I had to do was post my defense to get Kyber. Part of that is the 3v3 effect, and
Yeah, there's
part
more
of it is the new
points,
ships
yeah.
effect. But it's so nice to have some breathing room that a full clear gives you.
Yeah.
But you're right. You gotta be defensive minded. If you set a bunch of B- teams and they set all their A+, sure, you'll clear them.
But he's
But
going to clear
his
you
his
super easy. Yeah.
yes, and his path is going to be so much easier.
Yeah.
You got to force at least a few soft counters.
Yeah. I think that's really the key. I think that's really the key is figuring out, kind of where they struggle and making that kind of a focus. So that's generally that's one of the weird things about the first season of 3v3. First week of 3v3 is that you don't have relevant data. You have old historical data that I'll go through but I still go through all their old 3v3s that I can dig up on the on SWGO.gg, and I go and look and see where they drop. I see how they play. Here's the crazy thing: I've seen people play completely different in 3v3 than in 5v5.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and that's kind of nuts. Like, it's one of those, it's either they just don't care about 3v3, so they just attack with everything and go for the full clear, or like there was a guy that one of the opponents that I was actually a little bit worried about, because he had great score, he had really great mods, great account. His account matched up or was better than mine in most spots, and I was just looking at him going, he's also got like 1 million GP on me. He's got 60 G12s on me or something like that. Like, he's got so much depth. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to stop this guy. And so, like, because I was looking at all of his 5v5 data, and I mean,
Is this the one where CLS got you the hold?
No, This is
okay.
week one. Week one.
Okay.
He basically sets really, really nasty defenses in 5v5. Like, he would have been a real pain in the ass to match up against. And so it's one of those where I'm like, oh fuck, he's gonna set the farm here. So I was like, so I might need that for that. I might need that for that. Might need that for that. And I finally worked my way back into his old 3v3s, and it was like he was just attacking with everything. All of his premium stuff was going on offense. He'd set like one of his premium fleets. It switched up which one. It was one of those where it was just like he was dialing it in. And so I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, is he gonna do it again? So I set a pretty hard defense, and he took almost everything on offense as well. Like, I think he left Kylo on defense, and I didn't bring enough to take swings at it. So it was like, and I set my Kylo, and he couldn't get through my Kylo, but he attacked everything. He dropped like 6 battles, and I was just like, oh baby, because it was one of those. I was like, you see how they attack, and I was like, well, he always struggles against this team, so let's set that, and he seems to struggle there, and I'm like, well, if he struggles on that team, he doesn't have anything for this team, because it's like what he's got. These two teams are going to be what I would take against this. So it's like, so let's set that right next to it. Let's set it right next to it. It was one of those where I was doing stuff like that, where I was just kind of like looking at his old history and then going, well, he didn't do that. Did he learn? I don't know. If he comes in heavy, he's going to be able to clear everything and probably drops the fight on Kylo, and then maybe I win. Yeah. But he just
smooth.
Yeah, it was a strange one. Like, he set something like, I want to say he set his Palp, Bastila, and Malak on it, and I was like, well, I win, because I set my Darth Revan Malak right next to my Kylo. I was like, all right, well, you now can't get through that. Like, it's it's like, well, congratulations, guy.
Push the envelope on him.
Yeah. But it was weird. It's like 3v3 is definitely a different thing. I know you like 3v3. I know you're a big fan.
And I'm not saying there should be more 3v3.
Yeah.
But the cadence that they have for 3v3, I love it, and I would be just enraged if they got rid of it, because nothing beats going to, what is it, like 60 to 90 days, I can't remember which of the two it is, between 3v3s. Every time 3v3 comes around, the game has changed.
Yeah.
3v3 is always different. But in between, the first season and the second season of 5v5, not a lot's changed. Maybe one character's come out and it's changed it a bit, but we can figure out how to beat that fairly quick. Since the last 3v3,
Two Galactic Legends.
I want to say, there's 2 new Galactic Legends. There's Chupio.
Mon Mothma.
Yeah. I want to say Piet wasn't there yet, or at least mine wasn't done yet.
Yeah. In terms of, I think they might have been in the game, but I didn't have them at the time, so it was one of those. Yeah.
And so.
Oh man, looks like we're losing you again. And I think he's down. He's down. He's down. One more time. All right, let's see if we can't get him back here. No, not yet. Let's see, almost. See if we can't get him back here. Come on, you can do it. Come on, you can do it. Here he comes. Hey, welcome back. Yes.
My computer's not playing very fair today.
That happens from time to time. I mean, you're right. There has been some big changes. The way I always see it is they always give 3v3. This is the annoying 3v3 is the first one we get after like 3 months, and that one's going to be the one where they release a new ridiculously powerful character and they give everybody the chance that has it to try to exploit it in 3v3, where it's a lot more difficult to counter stuff. And then there's like a 5v5, and then they do like another 3v3, and that one's always a little bit more bearable because you've just done it, and you're like, all right, I kind of know what I need to do here, and it's but that one that's like 3 or 4 months off, like when they make that break, that one's always just hectic. Like the first week, you range between the guys like me that are trying to figure out as much information as possible with nothing to go on, and like we're digging back through the old SWGO.GGs, looking at their GAC history, and hoping for some sort of like, some sort of like seed of a thought to come in there on what you want to do against this guy, and then you get a bunch of opponents that just fuck it, auto set, I don't care. And
my favorite's finding that sleeper team. Yeah. I think the 2 biggest sleeper teams this past, so 2 seasons ago, 2 3v3s ago, the sleeper team was OG with the heroes.
Yeah.
And then this most recent one, I got 2, and it usually depends on how you had them modded and if you had both of them, obviously.
Yeah.
The first one is CLS Chupio and C3PO.
Yeah.
That team came out of nowhere. I went in there the first time I fought that team before it was really in the meta report, in there with my OG Finn and my Resistance heroes, and they got clocked.
Yeah.
It was over in less than 30 seconds. It was gross.
That's actually kind of amazing.
Yeah. And so then I was like, okay. And then the other one is Piet, or was it was Veer's lead with Piet and Stark.
Yeah.
And that one caught a lot of people off guard because they're like, oh, no tanks, let's do this. And they go in, and sure, you get a couple hits off because you're faster, and then they open up and they steamroll you, and you're like, what just happened?
Yeah, because I was gonna say that's a team where you're not gonna take many turns. Like you're gonna have to go in there with something that can hang for a while, like a Padme team that's just gonna be building up, and then you go try to do it that way. But
there's so much going on with Piet in that team.
I was gonna say, like, I would definitely want to get Han at Piet there, because that would have been probably the best move. Just go in there, blow him up right off the bat, and then move from there.
Yeah.
Here's something that's gonna be crazy for the 3v3 that will come in the future.
Moff Gideon.
I was gonna say, consider this, like Veer's lead no Stark, Moff Gideon, and Piet.
Piet.
Because Moff Gideon's going to rip that turn meter, and Piet's going to be, he's just going to be absolutely stacking everything up. Or God, Piet lead with Moff Gideon and the OG Stormtrooper. You know, get that inevitable failure dropping on OG Stormtrooper. You're just not getting through that team. You're just going to get bounced off of them. I mean, it's going to be ugly. That'll be ugly. Like, Moff Gideon looks disgusting. He really does.
You know, my strategy lead for our guild has been high on Stormtrooper ever since Piet came out.
Yeah.
And so many people were like, nah, we're going to roll with Shore Trooper for now, you know, just because we don't want to put that investment into Stormtrooper. And then all the people got a nice little told you so from the strategy lead when Moff Gideon came out.
Yeah.
He's like, see?
So here's the thing. So one of the guys in my guild, one of my, like, there's two guild leads. So the co-guild lead, he has a Relic 5 OG Stormy. He's got like everything. All of his troopers are Relic 7 except for Stormy's 5, and I think Magna's only at G12 or something, but that'll be up pretty soon. So he rolled Stormy up to 5 because in the AB with the bounty hunters, you know, the Rebel Roundup, he can roll his troopers basically on auto all the way through CT3. Like, it's because the inevitable failure on Stormtrooper, okay, you win. You just got to get through that opening barrage that comes in right off the bat, and then you put that inevitable failure on OG Stormy, and it's game over. Oh, I think we lost him again. Connection issues. We got him. We lost him again. See if we can't get him back quick like. It's like, almost there, stay on target. Almost there, stay on target. Just trying to get, see if we can't get him back here. Almost there. Come on, baby. Load up. You can do it. Come on, do it. You can do it. Come on, do it. Get to the chopper. No. It's like I'm just do like elevator music. Do 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 Okay, let me just see something really quickly. All right, guys, looks like we lost him for good. Sorry to have to say. Let's try to get this. Let's try to get this there. There we go. Looks like we lost him for good this time, guys. So we're gonna have to end it here. Thanks everybody for coming out and having a listen. It's lovely to do. Lovely to do. I'll. Sadly, the connection issues are going to be the end of this Strat Chat, but do tune in next time. We're gonna have another one coming up pretty soon. Can have another interesting conversation with some more people in the know, some more GAC minds. Get some more streamers in here. Get some more like strategic players, and we can talk through some nonsense, some SWGO related stuff and Star Wars related stuff. If you like the video, go ahead and give us a like on the video. if you haven't subscribed yet, do subscribe. And do check out Egracegamer's Twitch stream. It's going to be in the comment section down below. And also, do check out mine if you haven't seen it yet. We'd love to see you there live in the Icebox. We do have a pretty good time over there, so come on and give us a join. Anyway, have a good one.